I'm Cassie with Me Time, and this is a mini tutorial for the Old World Bungalow from Collectible Christmas Holiday Village. Like all of our other houses, the bungalow is created the same way. So if you have questions on how to put the house together, we'd like to refer you to the full tutorial for the church that you'll see linked below. Also, there's a slight change with this, and that's what we want to talk about today. Previous months, all of the house roofs have had just one peak, and they've all been the same. But this month, the bungalow has something a little bit different. We have this peak, and then we have a little bit of a slide, and then a little bend. And so I'm going to walk you through how to create this roof for this particular house today. To start the roof for the Old World Bungalow, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your roof eaves pieces, you're going to starch them really well, and you're going to turn them over just about a ½ inch on one of the long sides. And then we're just going to set that aside for a little while. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our glitter and we're going to peel this plastic film off of it. This part we're going to keep, and the plastic piece we can just throw away. Then we're going to hoop our light mesh cutaway stabilizer and we're ready to go. In my embroidery machine, I have a dark gray thread just so that you can see what I'm doing for this stitch out, but when you make your own at home, go ahead and just use a light colored thread. So for machine step 1, we're going to stitch the placement line for the shape form. Let's do it. So what we've done is we've just stitched that placement line. So now we're going to take our shape form interfacing and we're going to place it completely covering that placement line. And we're going to tape it in place so that it doesn't move when it's in the machine. I'm going to keep that gray thread in for this next step so that you can see how it stitches the tack down line and the scoring guides. This is machine step 2. So what we just stitched is the placement line and the scoring guides. All of the other roofs only had one set of scoring guides, but this one has 2. So we're going to take off the tape and we're going to trim up this shape form. We're going to make sure that we do it nice and close to the edge so that we can have a good line. Just go ahead and pull your shape form up and give it a trim. So now that we have trimmed our shape form, we're going to cut the scoring guides. Now, for those of you who haven't done this yet, it's okay that we're going to cut through the shape form and stabilizer. It might seem a little bit scary, but that's okay. All right, so we're going to take our rotary cutter and we're going to take our ruler and we're going to line it up so that we can cut directly in the middle of those scoring guides. Now I'm going to stand up. I do much better cutting this if I'm standing versus sitting down. So if you struggled with this, go ahead and stand up and see if it helps make it a little bit better. So I'm going to stand and we're going to cut right along this line. And because I have 2, we're going to move it down and cut the next line. And again, I'm cutting straight through that stabilizer and shape form, just a little bit past so that it can help us make the roof bend properly. Machine step 3 is stitching the placement line for the glitter. Now that I've stitched that placement line, I'm going to take our piece of glitter and we're going to completely cover that placement line, and we're going to tape this really well. Glitter tends to slide and buckle a little bit, so we want to use a little bit more tape than usual. Now that we have this taped really well, we're going to put it in our machine and stitch the tack down line. I've made sure to change my thread to white so it doesn't show up on the glitter. Okay, now that we have that tack down line, we're going to use a pressing cloth and press that glitter to help it adhere. So we're just going to set this on a mat, cover it with a pressing cloth, and we're going to just hold this and count for a few seconds and then move it along, making sure that that glitter is well adhered. Now we're gonna let that cool down. The thing with glitter, when you warm it up, it can get stretchy and it has more tendency to tear. So we wanna make sure that it sits there and waits until it's completely cooled down. Now that our glitter has completely cooled down, we're going to remove the tape. Now that we've removed the tape, we're gonna put it back in our machine for machine step 5, which is stitching those center fold lines. Machine step 6 is stitching the decorative detail for the roof. Okay, look how beautiful that is. I absolutely love the scalp detail on this roof. It's so cute. So now we get to do the fun part. We're going to take our roof eaves fabric that we already prepared and we're going to lay it straight across that roof. We're going to make sure that both of those 1/2 inch folds are on top of each other in the center, and then we're going to tape this really well. We want to make sure that we tape it exactly as shown in the directions so that the pressure foot doesn't catch any of these edges and lift the project out of the hoop. We're going to put a piece of tape on each end of these fabrics, and then we're going to take another set of tape and we're going to make sure we completely cover those folds on both sides. This will keep that pressure foot from hitting and getting caught on any of those edges. And then just for safety, we'll put a piece of tape here and another one right here. And once we have it all taped, we're going to put it back in the machine and stitch that final outline stitch. Release the hoop and we're going to pull our project out, and then we're going to take our scissors and we're going to trim about 1/4 inch away from that final stitch line all the way around our project. So we'll just take our scissors and we'll cut in, and we're trimming all the layers, so we're doing the glitter and the fabric, everything. We want to make sure that our roof has really good points, so we're going to take our scissors and we're going to just cut at an angle right on the corners, and then we're going to cut about 1 inch up close to it so that we can have a really good point. So I'm going to do that on all of these corners. It's time to turn the roof, which is my favorite part. I love this. So you're going to stick 2 fingers inside that first eaves, and you're going to put your thumbs on the corners here, and you're just going to push in and flip. Just like that. It's like magic. Okay, then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to flip it over with this one. Put your fingers inside, put your thumbs on the corners, and just push and flip. Ta-da! Love it. And then it's turned. We're going to take our point turner at this point and we're going to just gently poke those corners out so that they look nice and sharp. Just wiggle it around, lightly move the fabric, and make sure that we have the corners looking nice and pretty. Ta-da! What we're going to do next is take our favorite starch and we're going to lightly starch the back of these fabrics. And then we're going to take our iron, and I like to pull the eave that's underneath the top one nice and tight toward the middle, and take my iron and go from the side and just iron it towards the center. This way I'm making a really nice edge along the side of the roof so that the eaves fabric isn't bubbling up on the other side. And once I have that side ironed, then I like to take the top eave and pull it nice and taut and do the same thing from the side towards the center. This way I'm getting nice starched eaves and they'll lay where I want them to. So after we get both eaves pressed, I like to just take my iron and just make sure that they're towards the center, and then just pull the iron straight down to make sure they're lying nice and flat and beautiful. Now again, where this is glitter and we just had the iron on it, we're going to set it aside and let it cool down just for a little bit before we do anything else. So I've already stitched the front and back of the Old World Bungalow. So before we put the roof on, we're going to turn this right side out. we're going to give it a little pop like we do with all the other houses. Pick an eave and turn that through first, and then have the second one follow right along and just pop it like that. To make sure that your Old World bungalow and all of your houses appear nice and straight, we're going to do a little bit of pressing while our roof is cooling down. So we're going to take our bungalow and we're going to align up that corner so that it's about in the center. And then I'm going to take my starch the edge and put it on my pressing mat. And I'm just going to give it a really good press. You can also take it, especially if there aren't any vinyl pieces, and just kind of give it a nice iron so that it looks really good. But press those corners nice and good. Then we're going to take it and flip it over and press the other side. I like to give that little piece an iron too while I'm here and just make sure I have a beautiful corner. Then we're going to move to the next corner and do the same process all over again. Starch and press. Give that side a little iron, flip it over and press the other side. While I'm here, I'll iron the back as well. We'll just give it a little press to make sure that it's looking nice and pretty. Fold the next corner, same thing. A little bit of starch and a little bit of pressing. Little iron, flip it, press the other side. And we're going to flip it again, kind of give that whole piece a little bit of an iron, and then we should have a really nice straight looking bungalow. A lot of the times when we have our one peak roofs and they don't have glitter, you can make sure that you press it really good. But again, where this has glitter on it, we don't want to add too much heat or else we risk the glitter tearing. So instead, I'm just going to give it a little bit of a fold, just kind of work its way to becoming a little bit of a point. And then this other one, if you look at the house, it becomes a bit of a kind of like a ski slope here. So we're going to make sure that we kind of slightly bend it the opposite direction. Again, we're being very gentle because we want to make sure that glitter doesn't do anything we don't want it to. So we're going to get our roof that kind of starts doing this. We have a little bit of that shape going on, and that's going to match perfect for our bungalow. So we're going to take our glue and we're going to put glue all along the edges of the house, and then we can put the roof on. So we're going to take our favorite glue and we're going to just put it generously up along the edges. Make sure that it covers all of that edge. And we're going to do it on both sides. Put the glue here, up the peak. I always like to put a little extra dollop there just because I know that's going to have a bend. And then follow that slope down. All right, then we're going to take this and make sure we give it that bend so it's getting that shape again. And we're going to line it up and we're going to place it right on top. And then we're going to hold it in place, or if you prefer, you can tape it in place. Just make sure that it is nice and secure before you walk away. Now I know sitting here for a while can be sort of tiring, so sometimes I just take my house and take a little nap. Now just a quick note for those who are getting the doorstep subscription for the bungalow. There are little shutter buttons that come, and so if you want to have those buttons, go ahead and skip the steps that have the shutters on them and you can glue the shutters on or tack them instead. One thing to note, however, is that the buttons should be attached before you glue on the roof. So I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial and spending time with me learning about this new roof, and we hope that you like and subscribe and follow us for more content. Now go enjoy some well-deserved me time.